each company. I'm going to go ahead and let Dawn speak to Acumatica. Dawn?
Happy to do so, of course, and thanks to all of our ISV partners that are joining for the presentation today, too. It's always a collaborative effort. So for those of you that don't know a lot about Acumatica, we are basically one of the only cloud companies where we have a true ERP complete cloud solution, and our go-to-market strategy is exclusively through reselling partners. So we also focus on the mid-market and companies in all sorts of different verticals, from let's say distribution, retail, e-commerce, manufacturing, services, field services, not-for-profit, and a wide variety of other different companies. We seem to be able to address the needs of companies moving up from products like, let's say, QuickBooks or Peachtree, or some of the lower end products that need a solution. And also companies that are coming from legacy products that really want to update their technology. They want to have a true cloud solution. They want to be completely mobile. And that's where our partners help us do exactly that. Some of the things that make us unique, you can actually deploy our cloud solution virtually anywhere. So it can be our cloud, a public or private cloud. It can also be deployed on premises if you'd like. And it gives you a lot of flexibility in how you invest in it. Whereas some of the other competitors, you can only subscribe to the software. With Acumatica, you can subscribe or you can purchase. So bottom line is flexibility for customers and a very, very strong partner program for partners who are looking to add to their portfolio. So with that, Acumatica, thanks everyone for being on the phone. And Adrian, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Dawn. And you also have a very strong integrated software vendor program, the ISV program, obviously with all the ISVs that are participating today to develop strong solutions for those vertical markets, like we're talking about today with EDI, pick, pack, ship, and payment processing. So with Artzel, Artzel is an established solution since 2002. They have 50 plus employees, and they're going to be talking about how they take the pain out of sales order processing by automating the most efficient and error-prone tasks, the document handling, the data entry, bringing all that information digitally into Acumatica. And so that when that's automatically entered in Acumatica, it reduces errors, it offers better process control, and improved customer service overall. So with Scanco is a leader in warehouse management applications. They've been developing their solutions since 1989. Scanco meets the needs of thousands of distribution and manufacturing companies, providing real-time WMS processes using those handheld devices out in the warehouse. Warehouse personnel can use an iOS, Android, or Windows device for the picking and packing and all the remote activities that warehouse personnel need to do, but also interacting real-time with the Acumatica application. Starship is a strategic UPS Gold FedEx compatible solution provider. They have a wide range of carriers, both small parcel, regional, and LTL. And in 2016, they launched their Acumatica interface, and they have a long list of ERP integrations, and they have been a market leader in Sage and Dynamics channels as well. And we have American Payment Solutions. They have connections with many different industries with their credit card processing solution. They are a full service merchant services provider and serve thousands of small, medium, and large organizations. And the great thing about them is that they can get you a really good rate, very competitive, because they can use all the data in Acumatica to complete level 3 processing. And Bryce is going to talk a little bit about that and show you their level 3 processing solution. And here's a little bit about the workflow. So Bosco is going to talk about how an EDI transaction or sales order can come in through a big box retailer, and all that information will flow automatically into Acumatica, which will reduce errors because there's no human intervention. It just comes right in through that document, either an EDI document or a sales order. It can even come in through email. All the information on the document comes into Acumatica, and then ScanCo uses that information to pick and pack out in the warehouse. And that information of the package goes back into Acumatica, where Starship picks the best carrier based on all the rules of the shipment, the product weight, the dimensions of the product, the cost of the shipment, where the customer is located. It could be a regional carrier, it could be a national carrier, LTL, whatever the rules are for that customer. The Starship will pick the best shipment provider and repopulate Acumatica with all the tracking numbers, and where you can automatically notify via email the customer with all the shipment data. And then if credit card processing is the best way to pay, accounts receivable is updated after Starship ships, and you can use American Payment Solutions to process the lowest rate on a credit card using all the information in Acumatica. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Bosco, who's going to talk about the EDI transfer.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. I hope you can see my screen here.
And Bosco, it might be better if we do the full screen slideshow.
Okay. Just give me one quick moment and I'll switch to, bear with me, quick. I'm looking for the format where I can do a full screen presentation here.
Oh, you can do it right up in slideshow, up in the menu? There you are. And then from the beginning.
I just wanted to show this one slide.
Okay, just current slide. I think from current slide, there you go.
Okay, so I wanted to give you all first a quick high-level overview of the Doc Alpha Smart Process solution that has been referred to. It is an advanced OCR, optical character recognition platform, as well as an intelligent document recognition capabilities. Essentially what it does is we are completely agnostic in terms of where we capture information from. Today I'll show you EDI, but we can capture documents from email attachments, fax servers, paper documents arriving in a mail room, and we see this quite often with our customer base. So I'll show you a second aspect of sales order processing in a quick demonstration. Information comes in, and in an automated fashion, it is classified. So if there are mixed document types, the solution is able to classify an invoice from a purchase order, from a sales order, from a check, etc. And based on the classification, it'll do the separation. So whether it's a single-page document or a multi-page document, the application handles all of that in a completely automated fashion. And then once we've recognized what document type it is, the extraction is performed. In the case of EDI, we do the appropriate parsing of the data and map that so that an operator can visually verify that the information has been captured correctly. And then there's 2 points of integration with Acumatica. One is for the validation. So we check things like the vendor ID, if the vendor exists inside of Acumatica, as well as other properties, and we can perform validation at line levels. So if, for instance, an invoice came in that had to be matched against a purchase order, we can do line item matching as well. And then the second point of integration is releasing those transactions as EDI transactions or posting directly into Acumatica, depending on what your requirement is. So we can simultaneously release the output to to Acumatica or multiple applications. So the first demonstration scenario I'm going to show you is EDI. Here on my file and my system, I've got a couple of EDI transactions that have come in. So very simply, I'm going to copy these over into a destination that we are monitoring for these incoming transactions. And in a moment, you'll see them disappear from my screen. They're going through that process that I described, where we recognize what the transaction is, and then we perform the appropriate extraction and mapping of the data that needs to be posted into Acumatica. Now, this would normally happen in an automated fashion, as Adrian mentioned. So that's called straight-through processing. So if the requirement was, if everything was matched and verified and validated, do not show it to me. But if you do need to see it, I'll show you what that interface looks like. So if I switch here now to my verification screen and I select these 4 documents that I posted, you'll see them right there, highlighted in blue. I'll show you how the mapping works, because that's the critical part of handling an EDI transaction. If I go to the first document there, you'll see the image on the right, or the data that arrived. And down in the middle left here, you'll see how we've mapped the data stream from the EDI transaction to the appropriate fields that need to be posted into Acumatica. You'll see here that we're able to extract the product ID, the units ordered, etc., and various information that it could be inside of Acumatica. And as well, you can see that if we did have to make some corrections, let's say in a state or a zip code or any other entry, we can actually fetch that information from Acumatica and allow the operator to perform the validation of this information. So that was a process of how we take EDI and map it to the field and then post it into Acumatica. Now, for those of you who, I'll show you on my screen here, once we export it, you'll see that this is my export folder, and this is obviously, we're able to map directly to but I'll show you in another format, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, called XML, how the exported output looks. And then once again, as I scroll through, you'll see that we've captured all the key fields that needed to be mapped into Acumatica. I will show you Acumatica automatic posting with my second demonstration scenario now. And I'm going to switch to a scenario here where these documents have arrived by paper or as email attachments, and they come into our system. And so once again, I'm going to copy these digital images now into the folder that we are monitoring, or the source that we're monitoring. And then once again, you'll see them go through. You will notice I put 3 different transactions. I didn't have to perform any manual separation by saying one's a check, one's a PO, one's an invoice, etc. Didn't have to do any sorting. Didn't have to worry about how these documents came in. And switch now to, I'll push this one out and show you the next set of documents that come in. Give me one moment, but my system is still processing them. That's the wrong one. I'll just bring my batch in. Here they are. And this is now interacting directly with Acumatica. So one was an invoice that you see here. Here's my check, and let's focus on the purchase order. You'll see that from the purchase order, as I go through the different fields, you'll see that we've done the extraction at the line item level so that we can feed Acumatica with the line item details for this purchase order, as well as we've captured the date, etc., from this transaction. Just very quickly, you'll see that we've identified this correctly as an invoice, and once again, we've done line item extraction on an invoice. So the point here being is that if these transactions arrive simultaneously, with other transactions that come from the vendor, we can process all of them through one workflow. In this case, we're capturing a check amount. Now, when we, so here's the OCR, you simply quickly need to check if the application has done the OCR correctly. We're capturing the line item level details, and we post this this transaction here. You will see it's from a company called Ach, and I'll post these transactions once I've done the validation. I'm showing you just snippets of what we do in terms of validation. Feel free to reach out to us through through the correct process. I will quickly now switch to my Acumatica platform, and you will recall that I processed a sales order or a purchase order for Ach. So when I look at what has been posted to Acumatica, here is that same transaction posted into Acumatica, and here's the company information and the line item detail that you saw me process in the capture side of this application. So with that said, I believe my time is up here. Adrian, I will hand this back to you now.
Thank you, Bosco. And Christy, you're going to be talking about the picking and packing of the order.
Yep. Absolutely. Great. Thank you so much, Bosco. And thanks again for everyone who's attending today. My name's Christy Lamello, and I'm a software specialist for Acumatica clients here at ScanCo. So I'm excited to talk to you guys today on warehouse automation and how ScanCo can help you decrease your picking errors and have faster shipping times, all with seamless integration into your Acumatica system. So for those of you who aren't familiar with ScanCo, let me just start off by briefly giving you some background about our company. So we've been in business since 1989, and we for many years have been lucky enough to be one of the leading WMS solutions in the mid-market industry, providing direct integration into several different ERP systems. So we're really excited to now be launching our integrated Acumatica product. So we've decided to bring two solutions to the Acumatica space. The first solution, I'm just going to go over briefly because I'm going to focus today mainly on our ScanCo warehouse product and shipping through that. However, just to touch quickly on our manufacturing product, we do have XScan, which is in beta testing now in Acumatica. And this offers integration into JAMS by JOS Systems. XScan is going to give you your essential transactions for your manufacturing environment, such as tracking your labor, so that you can know the actual time that you're spending on your jobs, whether for costing purposes or just to make your manufacturing process more efficient. You'll be able to see with this who worked on what job, what step of the process the job's on, and exactly when and where it's at on the floor. You're also going to be able to track your material issues, which is going to aid in better replenishment abilities for your reordering and making better ultimate purchase decisions. And then you'll also be able to do material completion. So whether you're doing sub-assemblies make to stock items, this can all be done dynamically from the production floor with our XScan product. So our second solution that we have on Acumatica is our ScanCo warehouse solution. So our ScanCo warehouse solution, we're coming to market with core functionality, and we're following the same strategy that we've done in the past on our other products, planning to add in additional functionality in order to grow with our customers' needs as they arise. So some of the few core transactions that we're going to offer with this solution is going to be purchase order receiving, your physical counts, so you can do that all from a handheld and speed up your count times dramatically, and then also sales order shipping, which I'll focus on today. So in just a moment, I'm going to go ahead and jump into a demo of how you can pick and ship out a sales order, all from a mobile scanning device running the Scanco warehouse solution. So before I jump into the demo, I want to kind of give you guys an idea of our hardware options. So this is one of the areas where we really stand out from other solutions currently on the market, and that's in the technology that we offer. You're investing a ton of money into, you know, a solution that you want to have fit. So with Acumatica, you're getting the most advanced cloud-based solution. However, you're running into WMS solutions that have outdated equipment offerings, mobile scanners that are running Windows. They're definitely not the most user-friendly, and not only that, they're traditionally going to be much more expensive, usually in the $3,000 to $4,000 range per device. So what Scanco's done is we've taken our knowledge and experience from working with iOS and Android technology for the past 5 years. We've redesigned it slightly to fit with a cloud-based ERP solution. So now you have a touch-driven interface that's easy and familiar to users. You're going to be able to work connected in online or offline mode to Acumatica. So that way you can run the app without dependency on the internet, and then as well as where Wi-Fi or cellular connection to the network is available. So definitely one of the key pieces is choosing the right hardware. These are just a few solutions that we have on the hardware front with both iOS and Android devices. We recently just started offering the Cognex MX1000, and that device, it was definitely a huge hit at Acumatica Summit. It gives you the same rugged traditional feel of those Windows mobile scanners, but it has a much easier to use interface and also a much lower price point because it is a newer technology, and there's lots of options. So whether you want to run iOS or Android, there is a case with the Cognex MX1000 that will allow you to scan with those devices. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump into a demonstration of our Scanco warehouse solution. I'm going to show shipping out an order. So on the screen, this is actually what would be displaying out in your warehouse on the handheld scanner. So I'm going to go ahead. I've already logged in. I'm at my main screen, and I'm going to go into my sales order transactions. So within sales order, you're going to have two options here. So you're going to be able to ship by order or by item. So typically, most of our customers are shipping by a sales order number. So I'm just going to go ahead and show that today. So sales order. So now the first field it's going to prompt me for is my sales order number. So I can do 3 different things at this point. So I can scan this information off of a barcoded sales order or pick ticket. Maybe you want to go completely paperless. You can also key in that information using the handheld keyboard. Or if I press enter at this field, it's going to pull up a lookup screen for me. So once I pull up the lookup screen, now it's going to give me a list of all of my open sales orders that I have inside of Acumatica. So I can scroll through this list, select the order that I want to when I go ahead and pick and ship out. I could also sort this list. So you'll see the different ways you can sort, whether it be by date or customer. And then you could also do a filter. I'm just going to go ahead. I see my order that I want to go ahead and ship out right up at the top, so I'm going to select that order. And now it's just prompting me for the items that I need to go ahead and pick and ship for this order. So again, if I press enter here, it's going to pull up a list now of all of my open items on that sales order. So it's basically like having a paperless pick ticket. So you'll see I have 3 different items on this order. The first item, it's going to give me my quantity left on this order to pick, the quantity ordered, and then the total available of that particular item in my warehouse. So I can select from this list. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll choose my Lego 500 piece set. So I selected my item, and now it's just prompting me for the bin location where I'm pulling this item from. Again, I can scan this information, I can key it in. Maybe I'm not sure where that bin location is, where my item is. So I can just do a lookup here again. And now you'll see I have 2 bin locations in my warehouse where this item is located, and then the quantity on hand at each location. So now I can just go ahead and select my item or my bin location, and then key in the quantity that I want to go ahead and pick and ship. I'm going to move on now to my next item. I'll scan my next item, the bin location where I'm picking that item from. If I choose an invalid bin, it's going to let me know. So I'll go ahead and rescan the correct bin. And I'll key in my quantity here. If I'm going through my pick and I scan an item that isn't on that purchase order, or that isn't on that sales order, the handheld's going to stop me. So this is how you're going to eliminate those missed picks and those missed shipments. So I'll go ahead and I'll acknowledge that I scanned the incorrect item, and I'm going to clear out that scan. And now I'll just go on and scan my next item. I'll choose my bin location for that item. And then my quantity. So I have a quantity on this order of 10 to pick. I'm going to go ahead and say I want to pick 5. Now it's back at the item field, and I'm going to do a lookup to see what I have left on this order. So you'll see in my lookup screen now those top 2 items have turned red. That's because I've completely picked everything that I need for those 2 items. So those I no longer need to do anything with. And my last item, where I still have 5 remaining that I need to pick, that's still going to be unhighlighted. I'm going to go ahead, I'm actually just going to send this in short. So I'm going to go ahead and press send on my device. The handheld's going to ask me to confirm that I want to send this into Acumatica. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say yes. It'll let me know that everything was completely sent over. And then at this point, inside of Acumatica, this is going to update that sales order. And so I'll hand it over to Starship to continue processing the shipment.
Awesome. Thanks, Christy. So what you should be looking at right now is the Starship screen. This is going to be the multi-carrier shipping application that you'll be processing shipments from, typically loaded out in the warehouse. With this, we're going to select the Acumatica shipment that we want to process against. You can also ship against the Acumatica order or the Acumatica customer list if you're shipping out samples or something of that nature. If you are shipping against orders, Starship can generate the shipment as a result. But with the scan code solution and utilizing that in the warehouse, it's going to go ahead and create the shipment for you. So you'll just have to process that. And you'll know that you have the right items and the right quantities and everything that you're shipping. So this is just an example of a shipment that's going out to that USA bartending school, similar to the one that Christy just processed. When Starship retrieved that order or shipment directly from Acumatica, the information comes in, it's translated, and then any other features in Starship, like the packaging scenarios in this case, are going to be used, or Starship's going to auto-pack items based on quantities. So in this left-hand area over here, you'll see really header-level shipment detail, how it was the ship via was translated, as well as the recipient. And you'll notice that there's been some address validation happening here, and it's been validated. Starship does have validation for residential as well as DIPLIS-4. In the bottom area with the packaging here, this is where you'll see the items that are being shipped on this order, as well as the boxes that they're in. from here, Starship can also do things like the Quantum View Notify. I'll be showing you the branded email notification that Starship can generate as a result of the shipment in real time. But I'm also still going to utilize the UPS Quantum View exception notification so that our sales team can get notified if there's some reason this package is going to be delayed. You can also do a rate shop from here. Starship will rate all the licensed carriers that you have in the system. Starship does support a combination of small package and LTL. We have over 20 carriers that we support directly, where we communicate directly with the carrier server to retrieve your contract rates so that you get the most accurate contract rate when you're processing and trying to figure out the best way to go. Starship also has something called ship via rules, where you can define circumstances where you want to have Starship select the carrier service combo automatically. So maybe something like I'm showing you here, where the post office comes out quite a bit cheaper from UPS Ground, still gets it there on Friday. So I can just go ahead and manually select this if I don't have my automated rules in place. And then we're going to switch over to going to the post office. A note with the post office, with Starship's post office module, which comes standard with the solution, you will be able to access the USPS CPP rates, which would just be discounted rates that were previously available only to customers that were shipping large amounts. But we've partnered up with a third-party provider to pass along discounted rates to you, so you can see discounted priority and express mail rates through Starship. If I'm ready to process this shipment, I could just hit the ship and process, or F5, and we'll process the shipment. It'll generate the barcoded shipping labels, communicate out to the carrier, and update Acumatica in real time. As far as printing goes and output, Starship's going to generate, maybe it'll generate the packing list plus the shipping label, maybe just a direct thermal shipping label. It supports either one of these. So this is just an example that I have coming up on screen. Typically, this will get printed out directly to the printer or printers. You can define how you want this to go. So this is the Smart Label, a combination shipping label, which is going to be in a 4x6 inch peel-off area, as well as the packing list. Or you can have a packing list print on a thermal label printer right after your shipping label. So these are my 4 packages that we are going to be shipping. So my Lego 500 piece, and then my pack and play. So once those labels have been printed out and you stick the labels on the packages, you're pretty much ready to process your next shipment. But what I want to show you is what happens on the front end with the updates to the Acumatica system. So let's go into that Acumatica shipment that I processed. Here's the 1798 shipment that we just shipped against. So Starship can update the status here. It updated it from open to confirmed. It can update the packaging. So you'll see there's the box IDs have been updated, the weights, tracking information with the carrier and service level. Under my shipment settings here, the ship via has been updated to USPS priority mail. It was originally UPS ground, so we translated that. And then both my freight cost, which is going to be the discounted priority rates, as well as the freight amount. In this case, I'm charging the list rate, so that would be the rack rates that you can find on the USPS site. So here we're charging 101, but we're only paying the post office $48.44. You can also update the notes if you want to, but really all this information is going to be in the package level area for you. So in addition to updating Acumatica, I did have Starship set up to create that branded email. So let's go refresh this and take a look to see what was created here. So a couple things with this email, with the post office, they typically don't have email notifications, but in Starship, you can use this for your post office. With UPS and FedEx, a lot of times customers are using that to those carrier services like the Quantum View Notify to send the emails out. But with the Starship branded email, obviously you can do your own branding here, so you can, give this the look and feel for your company. You can add things, basically define whatever content you want to be in the email. The nice thing here is that you're going to have some Acumatica related information. So you'll have item to box level detail if that's been defined, quantity ordered and quantity shipped here. And then you can always put some promo items and links back to your site for some additional marketing there. You'll also get a dashboard to run all the reports against the Starship database. You'll be able to see the actual cost versus the applied one, late deliveries reports, and reporting based on carriers here. Okay, so I'm done with my side of things. I think we're passing it off to Bryce so he can talk about getting paid on your shipments.
Awesome. Thank you, Caroline. Hi, everybody. This is Bryce, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody showing up. And I do want to say that the demo company that we're using here looks to be a bar ordering Lego sets. So I really want to find out where this bar is, because that sounds like my place that I would want to go to play some Legos and drink a beer. It sounds pretty awesome. So anyways, thank you everybody for showing up. So we're American Payment Solutions. I am the ERP Integrations Manager here at APS. And as you all know, payments are kind of a tricky thing when we're talking about, especially on the B2B side. So when you have another company paying you for your items that you're shipping in bulk, how do you make sure that that workflow is seamless through your ERP solution? And one really nice thing that we like about Acumatica is they've been very helpful in making sure that everything is seamless, everything is working from a flow perspective and a reporting perspective for both you and your customers when they're paying on credit cards. And I have something to announce here as well, that we're actually adding a new payment feature as well. So with that said, we're a full service credit card processing company, as Adrian had mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. And really what that means is we can handle retail, e-commerce, POS, and obviously here we're talking about card not present transactions that are being keyed in to your ERP. So I am going to focus just on this solution today, but just know that if you're an omni-channel company that does have some e-commerce or retail environments, typically we're able to handle the entire thing and have it flow correctly through your ERP system. So with that said, we're going to be talking about B2b payments, and we are kind of short on time today, so I'm going to be relatively brief, but if you would like, we can do another one-on-one presentation at a later date. Just reach out to Patty Benitez, who is our Acumatica channel manager, and she can set that up for you. So what I'm sharing on my screen right now is our setup screen within Acumatica. So the reason why I'm jumping in here is there's a few items on here that's connecting to our API key that are not out of the box with Acumatica, so we've actually added them to our settings tab. And you can see right here is the item commodity code, summary commodity code, and ship from postal code. So these items are actually required by Visa MasterCard in order to lower those interchange costs, or the hard cost you pay every time you accept a transaction. So when we're talking about level 3 processing, what that really means is we send additional data on top of the standard credit card information you send for your authorizations and your captures back to Visa MasterCard. And what they do is they actually validate that it's a business to business or business to government transaction on a corporate card, and they in turn provide you a discounted rate. So on the screen, I am sharing just a few of the pieces of information that we do have to provide back to Visa MasterCard. The beautiful thing is we actually automate this process on your behalf. So as you're processing your sales orders and your invoices after you've already picked, packed, and shipped it, you've scanned it, you've already got the order in, you're just running a normal transaction as if you think you're just entering the 16 digits, the CCV expiration date. You process the transaction on that sales order or invoice, but we're actually sending all this information on your behalf as well. So with that said, let me jump back into Acumatica. So that's the setup. The other thing that we do as well is we allow you to add as many credit cards as you want per customer. We do not have a cap on that. So as you can see here, you can select multiple payment methods, and typically at this point, when we are doing a one-on-one presentation, somebody will ask us, can you have multiple different types of payment types per credit card? And the answer is yes. And the reason why this is important is we've actually configured our Acumatica integration to be able to support as many merchant accounts as you need. So going back to your omni-channel type of business, if you do have multiple federal tax IDs that are all processing payments through Acumatica, or maybe 3 different channels that you sell at a trade show, a website, and card not present, we're actually able to integrate all those separate merchant accounts into your Acumatica instance to make sure everything is flowing correctly. So with that said, this is where you would go to add a new credit card. Now keep in mind, we've designed our system to be PCI compliant and keep you out of scope, meaning no credit card data is actually ever being stored locally. So when you go to add a brand new credit card on your customer, you can see that our payment form pops up, and what this does when you enter the credit card for the first time, it actually sends a token ID back, and that's the only thing that's stored locally on your Acumatica instance. So it keeps you out of scope. So let me cancel out of here real quick, and let's go over to a sales order. So once we've collected the credit card on our customer, which you can actually add a credit card at this point as well on the sales order. So if you don't already have that on your customer and you're taking their sales order, or you already received it from Starship, at this point you can actually collect the credit card for the first time as well. So we're just going to go ahead and add an item. And I'm sorry, we're not doing Legos this time. We're actually going to do a different item. So now that we have our item and our unit price, we're going to go ahead and save this. So at this point, since you already have the credit card on file, we can either authorize or capture. Now, the nice thing about authorizing is if you don't already know the shipping and cost, you can authorize it, and we actually allow you to capture for a higher amount. So if your unit price is $100, you go through and collect the shipping information, you find out that it's $15 to ship that good, you can authorize here for $100 and capture for $115. So it's a singular payment. But if you're using the workflow we're talking about today, you could have already had the shipping cost from Starship. So at that point, you would just capture. And like I had mentioned, you can select the credit card that you want to use. And if you are on the phone with your customer and you find out, hey, we actually don't have the credit card that you're wanting to use on file, you can simply click New Card and add it at this point. So we're going to go back, make sure we're back on our card, and we're just going to go ahead and capture the payment. So what this is doing is sending it back to our vault, collecting the credit card information, processing that payment on the $100 invoice or sales order cost. And now you can see that we're actually referencing back the capture number, which is actually coming from our virtual terminal, from our APS Pays portal. And you can see that it was captured and successful. So if you're a VP of finance, a controller, the one who's actually running the finances for your company, you can log into our virtual terminal and find that individual transaction. So going back to what I said initially about providing level 3 rates, that typically will save a company who's doing $100,000 in B2b payments about $800 off the Visa MasterCard hard cost. And how we do that is we collect all this information. So you can see the only thing I did was I processed a credit card on a sales order as normal, but we actually sent all of this information back to Visa MasterCard. Very cool. So with that said, I just have a few things I wanted to touch on briefly before I hand it back off to you, Adrian. So like I mentioned, we do have quite a few different solutions, quite a few different products. We're processing several $1 billion in payments at this point. So don't feel like if card not present through Acumatica is our only solution. We have multiple solutions for you as well. A couple things about our company. We have 24/7 merchant support. We also have in-house development, in-house staff. So if you need anything, any kind of enhancement, one of the enhancements I would like to talk about briefly is we're talking about credit cards here, but we're actually launching ACH payments through Acumatica as well. So when you're at the sales order or invoice level, you can not only take a credit card with our application, you'll also have the ability to take an ACH payment. We have guaranteed rates, so the rate that we offer you up front will be the rate on the life of your account. We also support for PCI compliance, and that's a free service that we actually offer all of our merchants. Like I'd mentioned, level 3 processing is available. Now, if you do any kind of business-to-business transactions, I highly recommend you reach out to Patty Benitez for an audit on your merchant account. Typically, what we're able to do is save merchants anywhere from 10 to 40% off of your merchant bill with that. Now, one of the unique things about our company is, since we are a full-sale merchant service provider and we built the integration as well, we do not charge installation, setup, training, maintenance, support, upgrades at all for our Acumatica integration. So really all you're doing is you're paying us the credit card rate that you were paying already, and typically we're able to lower that with the level 3 processing as well. So it's actually just a net gain back to your company. We have extremely simple gateway fees. We can go through that with you one-on-one, and one of the other main points that we have is we do next day funding. And sometimes it's actually even better than next day funding, depending on your batch out time. Usually we can get those funds back into your bank account within 11 or 12 hours. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Adrian.
Thank you, Bryce. So I'm going to go ahead and show the contact information for everyone. Oh, I lost my screen.
And while you're doing that, Adrian, I just wanted to thank all of the presenters. Thank you so much. I think it's very helpful for both partners, prospective partners, customers, prospective customers to really kind of get a look at not just the power of Acumatica, but really the power of these solutions combined and what that means as an end-to-end solution. So very important that you've made the choice to connect your solutions with Acumatica. We really appreciate that, and hopefully this was useful for everybody too.
And I do have a poll up. If you could just take a moment to answer this poll, that would be awesome. And we have some questions here. First of all, we have a question for Bryce, it looks like, from American Payment Solutions. Bryce, we are using authorized.net. How does your credit card processing solution compare?
Great question, and we get that question quite often. So one of the big differences is we are the integrator, the gateway provider, and the merchant account provider. So typically when you're using authorized.net, you use one company to build out the integration and update it, make sure that it's working on the current version. So there's a cost there. You're also paying your merchant account provider who's actually processing your payments. You have costs there. And then you're also paying authorized.net to be that middleware, be that gateway. So what we've integrated within Acumatica, as well as many other platforms, is our own gateway, APS Pays, which you don't have to pay a third-party company to provide that. So cost is definitely a big factor. The second piece is really even more important, is the level 3 processing. So authorized.net doesn't have the ability to provide level 3 data back to Visa MasterCard. So if you do any kind of B2b payments, you're really missing out on a pretty substantial amount of savings if you're using auth.net.
Thank you for that, Bryce. And we do have a poll up. I just wanted to remind everyone, and also to ask a question, just a reminder, you have a question mark next to your name on your webinar pane. So if you have a question, we just ask that you click on that question mark button and key in your question into the text dialog box that opens up, and we'll announce it for our panelists. It looks like we have a question from Martin. If a customer needs an ASN sent in advance, do you send it through EDI? And Bosco, that's a question for you. That would be, I believe, the 856 advanced ship notice. And I believe you could work through Starship to get all of that data. It's a good question for you, Bosco.
So any incoming data, whether, as I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, whether it be EDI, 810, 850, paper format that scan into digital, we perform the data extraction, the validation, and on the output side, in addition to simply just posting the transaction to Acumatica, we're able to create information like barcodes that Starship can use to then do any further downstream processing. I hope that answers the question.
And we can definitely get back to you, Martin, and elaborate on that. But Starship carries, Caroline, can you maybe elaborate on that from your side with the advanced ship notice?
Yeah, on the Starship side, we're not actually going to create and send the advanced ship notification, but Starship can help augment that process by providing the EDI solution with package item to package level detail. You can also print GS1 128 labels through Starship, generate the ASN numbers. We would pass that all in an XML file that would be consumed by your EDI provider.
And whether that's Artzel could take that information and then process that back to the retailer. It sounds like, correct, Bosco?
Yes. So, yeah, so we can round robin that whole process in conjunction with Starship. So once Starship has processed it, we can ingest it and then do the data extraction and validation and create some rules around the next step.
And we have a question from Anu. Thank you, Anu. Does the system support special pricing agreements, SPAs, used by electrical plumbing distributors? And I think that's for you, Bosco.
I'm not sure. It's me. Special pricing agreements. I mean, once again, we can configure rules when we see certain data to do lookups and even present like pricing options. So if there is a flag that says this has got some special price agreements, we can present the data as long as we have access to that information from the relevant data tables.
And Don, that might be a question for Acumatica too. So we might want to have a sales engineer over at Acumatica get back with Anu to recommend the best workflow for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you, Anu. We'll be back in touch with you definitely on that one. ScanCo question. Does the ScanCo solution include barcode scanning that works with JAMS to begin a production order and end a production order? Thank you, David.
Yes, thanks, David. It does. So both yes on that.
And then we have a question for Starship. Caroline, we have our own fleet of trucks. Can we add them into Starship?
Hey there. Yeah, that's a good question. You can. We have a couple user-definable carriers, both for small package and LTL, and you can define an unlimited number of carriers and utilize, maybe create one a carrier per truck, really, and then you can track which items are shipped out on which truck, and you can also then create some kind of generic shipping labels to go on the boxes to help you there.
And we have another question for you, Christy, over at ScanCo. You mentioned an integration with JAMS. Can you track production labor?
Yes, you can track labor with ScanCo.
And could you maybe describe that a little bit further, how that process would work?
Yeah, so you'll be able to select your job that you're tracking the labor for, the hours, and steps as you're going through the production process, all from the ScanCo handhelds, and that will go back into Acumatica.
And just a reminder, everyone, we do have a poll up. If you could just take a second to answer that poll, it would be great. And I'm not seeing any other questions so far, but I just want to remind you, if you do have a question, go ahead and click on that question mark button, and that dialog box will open up, and you can key in your question. And Don, it looks like we have a question for you. We are a Sage reseller how does your partner program differentiate from Sage?
Oh, that's a fabulous question. Thank you for asking that one. It's quite a bit different because it is a true partnership. Number one, we don't sell anything direct whatsoever. Number two, we only sell through channel partners, and everybody in the company is really supporting the partners in your efforts. We don't have a fee to join the partner program. We don't have an annual fee to maintain your partnership status. We offer training free of charge because, of course, to end users, it's very, very important that the partners know what they're doing and are adding value. So we feel that that's one of our obligations to help our partners be well trained. We also offer support when it comes to sales and pre-sales, and even many partners come aboard and they're so happy to be representing a new cloud solution that they close their first deal quite quickly. And we even have a team at Acumatica that if you so choose, you can ask us to help you with your first implementation or two to ensure that the customer is happy and satisfied and you end up with a reference at the end. We compare very favorably when it comes into the details like margins and so forth, which I'd be happy to discuss one-on-one at another time. But a couple things. We have had so many Sage partners sign up for Acumatica that one partner commented it almost felt like he was going to a Sage conference when he attended ours, in that there's so many people that he knew and were friends with, but then other people will say that everybody's so happy and upbeat and it feels like the good old days. So I think you'd find that we have a very supportive and collaborative channel. There's a lot of excitement at Acumatica around the product and our platform and what we're doing with our partner channel. So I'd be exceedingly pleased to have a conversation and continue on with many of the things that differentiate us from Sage and other vendors for that matter.
And David, it would be our pleasure to send you contact information for Scanco, and we'll definitely do that after the webinar. And we did record this webinar. We'll be sending a follow-up email with everybody's contact information who presented with us today. And you can always find a copy of this presentation on our ERPVAR YouTube channel at youtube.com/ERPVAR. And I just wanted to thank everybody so much for spending time with us today. We really appreciate you taking an hour out of your busy time. We know a busy day. We know your time is valuable. I'm going to go ahead and close out this poll. It looks like 44% of you have voted, so I'm going to share the results. So it looks like 29% are interested in EDI. This is always interesting statistics. And just keep in mind that only 35% when everybody was still on the line were voting. So integrated pick pack automation 43%, shipping 43%, and credit card processing 29%. And let me flash up the contact information. I'm going to hide that poll, flash up the contact information, and change myself to presenter. And oops, clicking the wrong buttons. There we go. So you should be able to see everybody's contact information here. And thanks again, everyone, for sticking with us. Panelists, did you have any closing comments you'd like to offer?
I just wanted to start again by thanking everybody who attended, and then also to all of our great ISV partners who extend our product and our functionality and really make it an end-to-end solution. You did a great job today and really appreciate it.
And thank you so much, Dawn and Bosco, Caroline, Christy, Bryce. Thanks so much for your wonderful presentations, and we hope to see you on the next webinar.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.